Before I would support the Hazeldale and our fire department and or Westburg combining all three, I once was in the Chief Deemer's office and I was talking with him briefly. And I had asked him, I said, Tim, if you had a choice to have an independent fire department, would you go for it, adding Hazeldale as one? And it would be taken, that way the city would not have any revenue coming from you at all, and that way you could spend your funds that you have received. And he told me that he had been working on this for over 2 years, and that was his plan, to combine Hazeldale and our fire department as an independent. They would receive their own funds and so forth. They would still provide the service here for Oak Ridge and for Hazeldale. I do support the fact that Hazeldale should be combined with Oak Ridge. But again, as Mr. Hadley had stated, the funds are just not there. Unless you make up a formal and complete contract between the two, stating what they'll do, how much they either pay to Oak Ridge for revenue or what have you, then that would be the only way. But as far as combining them now, we would have to really sit down and really talk about it. Thank you.
I have no problem with the way we're doing things now, and I think we ought to continue that way. If you're going to do anything, if you're going to cut the fire department out, are we going to split apart the ambulance service? The ambulance service is very, very important to us. And unfortunately, the ambulance, pretty much we bear the brunt of the ambulance services, do we not? Yes, so any calls out to West Fur, High Prairie, or up at the county line, we pay for it. If you're going to tell me that if you split the fire department, does the ambulance go along with it? I'm a little shaky on that. I want that for us. We paid and bought for that stuff. We need to continue that, not tear it apart.
I actually don't know. You know, I mean, you hear the stories about how a house 3 blocks out of town that our fire department will go to because they're out of the city limits and it burns down and everybody says, oh, that's just a terrible thing. Well, fiscally, maybe it isn't, you know. I don't know the whole budget. I don't know what their budget is up there. I don't know what our budget is here. And unless I got to be a city councilman who was actually involved in this, I wouldn't know. I do know as far as the ambulance service is concerned, there's a lot of times when there's a fire up on the hill that the Forest Service goes to, and our ambulance goes up there and sits with them in case somebody gets hurt or stuff with one ambulance. So as far as everybody sharing, everybody working together, I think that's a great thing. And maybe we get paid for everything. I honestly don't know. But we do. Some of it. We're good. We should farm it out more when we're rich.
Could we stagger the questions?
You're going to do that right now. Thanks. Jim, we'll start with you on this one. The question is, why are you running for city council, and what civic and other experiences do you have that qualifies you to be a councilor?
Seems like we've already answered this, but I'll go with it again.
Pull another question? All right. Well, you still get to start. What have you done to improve our community? Join clubs, help schools, same question. Just want to make sure that I'm not picking the questions. Here's one for you. What will you do to grow business in Oak Ridge?
Well, as I've said, I've worked on I am working on the Oak Ridge Economic Development Advisory Committee, working with John Landon, Larry Phipps, and a few others, trying to help bring jobs into our industrial park. I think that needs to be expand it into more of a citywide enterprise. A year ago, a year and a half ago, I staged a couple town hall meetings here trying to get ideas from people that maybe had an idea for a business that weren't quite cut out to either make it happen or needed services or needed help. Excuse me. We have plenty of talented people in this community, whether they're retired executives or whether they're currently working. I know myself, having to create business plans in the past, it's sometimes a daunting task. And I think there's a lot of good talent here and a lot of good ideas. So this is one of the things we tried to generate out of these 2 meetings we held. We got some response, not as much as I'd hoped for, but one of the things also I've been involved with is the Ford Leadership Council. I think that helps getting the kids involved and the young people and creating a cross-pollination between the adults in town and some of the youth. These are all things I think we need to do more of. There's other ideas as far as with the ODAC that we have, as far as the PowerPoint presentation and taking it out of the community into other areas and trying to solicit business.
Dan?
George, you sir, mind if I quote you from last year? The good thing about the internet, you got fact and fiction. Last year, George accurately described what was going on as a civil war, and it was. Sarah chimed in and said, you know, how can you expect businesses to come to Oak Ridge with the divisiveness and the division and so on and so forth? Again, completely accurate. For me, I think it's a lot of image. We had a painful year last year that brought shame and disgrace to people that did not deserve it. So we need to rebuild that image. Getting audits caught up to date, being financially solvent where you go from a $500,000 tax anticipation note to nothing the next year. We need to rebuild. It took a while to get here. It'll take a while to get it, you know, in a forward direction. So to me, a lot of it's image. We need to come together as a community, make Oak Ridge a place that people want to be, to bring the small businesses that create 90% of the jobs in this country. We want, you know, Oak Ridge will sell itself, and it's not just about tourism-related jobs, and it's not about living wage jobs. It's both. It's a blend. And tourism is not just cycling. I was real glad to see him bring whitewater rafting in because I can't wait to go, and the phone book looks pretty nice. But you wouldn't invest your stocks in one company. You diversify your stocks so that if one is having a hard time, you're going to compensate elsewhere. So we need to invest in different types of tourism, different types of jobs that will make available use of the skill set that we have in a timber town in the middle of the Willamette National Forest. It might not be timber, but timber related, and develop businesses that will create those living wage jobs that bring people in, and you take us for sale sign and turn it into a sold sign for a family to put kids in school and generate taxes and revenues so that we can have a viable police force and emergency services and pretty much everything else.
Well, I have a business here in town for 15 years. And what is so sad, when you look at the businesses in town, they don't seem to get along. One doesn't help another one. You know, and as a business owner, I help a lot of people. And it is very important in this town to be business friendly. And this town absolutely isn't business friendly. You know, I have several U.S. patents. I run my Jeep on hydrogen. But do you think I would start a hydrogen factory in this town with the way it's turned upside down financially and the way the people are? I can go to Nevada and start a corporation much easier than I can here. There's a lot of better places. And until this town really gets solvent and gets ahead of itself, it doesn't have to be timber. I'd like to see a pellet mill going there to the industrial park. 4 years ago, when my building got blown up, that's where I was. That's why I didn't get hurt. It's a dirty shame that this stuff all happened. But I believe this town needs to get along. And we, businesses, need to understand, we help each other. The uptown is not the only place. We have Highway 58 businesses too. And this is the problem I see. We as citizens and business owners need to get along. It can't be the Uber uptown, can't be the Highway 58. It's gotta be all of us together, or we'll never make anything.
I don't personally have a business, I don't run a business, however, I do manage my own banking and my own register books, and they're always on the dot. I don't spend more than I have, and if I have a little, I might buy something special for me. But at the same time, here about, I believe it was about 3-4 years ago, Weimar wanted to come into Oak Ridge and build a business. A wine mart here in Oak Ridge. I thought, how cool is that? But then, to come to find out, our gracious leaders that we had prior, that are no longer here, didn't want a business in Oak Ridge. They discouraged Weimar from even coming in and building, putting people to work, having to go to Weimar and buy their products and so forth. I love Weimar, that's my home, pretty much. But that's all I've seen since I've been back home. Discouragement. Don't build here. I have a friend that just opened up a pizza and roll place uptown. Okay, I've known him for years. We went to school together. He moves back to Oak Ridge, loves Oak Ridge, wants to have a business. And he went through more heck, getting a permit, getting a license. It was like discouragement all the way down the road. And I can understand why people refuse to come to Oak Ridge. The first time I asked someone that I had never ever met in my life, I asked them, I said, what was the first thought that you came into your mind when you entered Oak Ridge? It looks like a ghost town. It's dirty, the streets are unkept, the sidewalks are gone, the businesses are falling apart. It's like they don't care any longer, and that's so sad.
You know, when I came to town, I was a little confused, and still am, about what Oak Ridge wants to do and be. I think we need to do some things. I think we need to decide what we want to be and grow up. I think we're well on our way to financial stability. And, you know, we need to put the unpleasantness of the past behind us and learn not to repeat it. But I think we need to decide, are we going to be a destination place, or are we going to be a drive-through place? Are we going to be a stopover place, or I can't wait to get out of this place? And so I think we need the city, and you people can help in talking to your councilors, going there and telling them what you would like to see here. We're poised to be, we could be an excellent Lake Tahoe, or another Lake Oswego up in the Portland area. We have the ability to have all around vacation and resorts here. We can do those things, but we have to decide what we want to do and be, and we have to decide to take the town along those directions, and that we need to beautify this town.
Could you repeat the question, please?
You bet. What will you do to grow business in Oak Ridge?
Once again, one of the reasons I started this was a year and a half ago. I was working on the St. Vincent de Paul store. I ran that job as a superintendent. St. Vincent de Paul does not move into just any town. They do their paper. They do their homework. They build places where there's a future. They build places where they think people will appreciate their job. That St. Vincent de Paul store upstairs has a embryo foundation for starting new businesses, and is sponsored by the Kroger Foundation. Kroger Foundation, the K is from Kmart, is a foundation out of Detroit. This is the first time they've ever invested money anywhere other than Detroit. And I'll tell you what, among all the people building stuff up and down the West Coast, they're looking at that, say this is Paul store. They know that there's a reason the Kroger Foundation put it in there. And once again, once all this started going, then we started all this bickering among each other and all this fighting. And they kind of said, gee, if we would have known this was going on, we wouldn't have put our businesses in here. Well,